So in this video, I'm going to do a quick review of just some basic graphs and then also how translations and reflections work. This video is really intended for calculus students who may be rusty. The basic graphs that I'm going to just review very quickly are going to be any line x squared, x cubed, the square root of x, the absolute value of x, e to the x, the natural log of x, 1 over x, and 1 over x squared. I am going to omit trig functions for this video just because I feel like that's kind of a different topic. Although if you know the graphs of trig functions, then translations still apply here. And why is it that you should know these basic graphs? Well, these functions are frequently used in calculus, and one thing that I find in calculus is that it's very common where students will forget what these functions look like, and then it makes them very nervous about what to do with these graphs. And I really mean that for these two. So a lot of students forget what these graphs look like. If you know what they look like, it makes answering questions and just how you think about it, it makes it a lot easier, in my opinion. Okay. So I just really want to briefly review here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but you should know the graph of any line. So any line will have one of three forms. It will either be in the form or could be written in the form f of x equals mx plus b. So if you have a line that is not in this form, you should be able to manipulate the equation to get it into this form. You could also have a line of the form f of x equals b, where b is just a number, or x equals a. And so this will be a slanted line, this will be a horizontal line, and this will be a vertical line. So it's very helpful to know which one that you're looking at because they come up from time to time in calculus. And so if you have a slanted line, the m of course is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. So I'm going to omit how to do all of that. I'm assuming that you're familiar with that, but I do have other videos that talk about that if you want to see that. So let's move on to the graph of x squared. So this is a parabola. So a parabola has this nice U shape, and I have gone ahead and sketched this graph with the three main points that I really think of that define a parabola. So if I know these 3 points, I can probably finish the sketch. So I've labeled what these 3 points are, but I want to show you how I think about this. We have 0, 0. This is like the bottommost point. This is the vertex, right? And then if we go out 1 and up 1 in each direction, so we have these other 2 points on each side of the vertex. So if I have these 3 points for any type of parabola, I can figure out what this parabola looks like. So a really key thing is that this is a U shape, and the vertex, it bottoms out at 0, 0. We'll talk about how to use that more as we move on. Next, let's talk about x cubed. So x cubed is this shape here. So once again, I have these 3 main points, -1, -1, 0, 0, and 1, 1. But the real way I think about this is I have this centering point at 0, 0, and then I go out 1 in this direction and out 1 in this opposite direction. And I can connect those 3 and get to a shape of x cubed. So I always think of x cubed as a wavy shape, or you could think of it as this really cool dance move if you wanted to. So again, we're just kind of trying to remember like how these points relate to one another because it will help us as we move on. Next, we have the square root of x, and the square root of x looks like this. So the main points with the square root of x are 0, 0, and 1, 1. So for the square root of x, there are no negative x values. While we can evaluate the square root of a negative number, we can't graph the square root of a negative number. So this is important to remember because if you know the graph of this and you're trying to think, if you're just having one of those moments, and you're like, oh, what's the square root of -9? Well, if you know what the graph looks like, you know that there are no points over here. So there is no square root of -9. So this is kind of why knowing the graphs is very helpful. Next, we have the absolute value of x, which looks like this. And so this really takes a V shape. Very similar key points to x squared. So I've got this bottoming out point, and then I have these 2 points this way. So a parabola is a U shape, and the absolute value of x is a V shape. Otherwise, they have really the same 3 main points. So that's an important thing to know. Our next graph is e to the x, which I've gone ahead and drawn. And I want to just note what those key 3 points are in this case. So notice that into the function, I've plugged in -1, 0, and 1. So I don't have to know, or I don't have to have this exact where e is and 1 over e is, but I can basically sketch out the idea around, so if I plug in 0, so that'll of course give me 0, 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1, so e to the 0 is 1. And then I know that e is going to definitely be above 1, and 1 over e is going to be below 1, but not 0. So this is enough for me to sketch this out. And I wanted to just kind of mention this, like you can kind of finagle what this has to look like without exactly knowing e, because sometimes people forget it. It's like 2.14. But also, since e is 2.14, similar graphs would be 2 to the x or 3 to the x. You could graph basically what these are, and it's going to act very similar to e to the x. So all exponentials kind of have this graph. If you were to use, instead of 2 to the x, if you had like 1 over half to the x, it would go this direction. But I just wanted to point out kind of what e to the x looks like. And the other thing I really want to point out here is that e to the x has an asymptote. So there are no y values below 0. So this is important because that means that there is no value you can plug in for x that will make the overall function negative. So it's kind of important to know this graph because I feel like most people know this graph or they know these graphs. Like they could easily figure these out. And then the graph that kind of makes a lot of people panic is the natural log of x. So the natural log of x and e to the x are actually related to one another. So the natural log of x is the inverse of e to the x. So what that means is, so notice that you can just flip the x and y coordinates. So now I have e1, 1, 0, and 1 over e, -1. So if we compare that one more time to, actually let me go back here. So I have -1, 1 over e, 0, 1, and 1 over e. If I flip all those x and y coordinates, that gets me to my natural log of x. And this is important to know that they're inverses because then that also means that things like the asymptote will flip. So where I had an asymptote on the x-axis, now I have this asymptote on the y-axis. And this tells you now a lot about natural logs that might be handy depending on what you're doing. Specifically, you cannot have any x values over on this side. So if you know the graph of the natural log of x and if you're able to draw it quickly, then if there's like other things about natural log that make you nervous, you might be able to answer those questions from the graph. Also notice that the natural log of 1 equals 0. That's true for any log, right? Log of 1 is always equal to 0. So that follows here too. Okay, the last two graphs that I want to talk about, I want to wrap up this section pretty quickly. Is so 1 over x and 1 over x squared. These are two very similar graphs where 1 over x, so this should make sense also as to why this happens. So as I plug in positive values of x, everything is positive, and when I plug in negative values of x, obviously the value of this entire thing will be negative. So we have this side of the graph all on the negative y's. Versus when I have 1 over x squared, okay, so now I'm squaring everything, so everything's just going to stay positive. So this graph can come up from time to time. It breaks off like this, and it has these two asymptotes. And you just want to remember the general shape of these graphs in case they come up. Okay, so I wanted to refresh all of those basic graphs. And next I want to talk a little bit about translations and reflections. So if you know what the basic graphs are, and then you know that you're looking at a translation or reflection, you'll feel a lot more confident about some of the material that you're working with. So I consider, first of all the graphs that we've talked about so far. So all of these graphs, these are what I would call kind of your basic graphs that you're starting with. And so that's going to be important to identify when you're talking about translations and reflections, because you always start with kind of your base function. So let's talk about the different translations that there are. So first there's a vertical translation. So if I have some function f of x and I add k to it, that's going to move the graph up, versus if I subtract k from that function, that's going to move the graph down k units. So just to kind of show you a quick example, so let's say I have the graph g of x equals x squared plus 3. So in this case, we are really looking at the graph of x squared. That's our base function. And then what we're doing is we're moving it up 3 units. So I know what the graph of x squared looks like. And we just talked about, right, that x squared bottoms out here at 0, 0. So effectively, all that's happening now is I am just moving this graph up 3 spots. So here's that same graph, boop, 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 boop. It is moved up 3. Okay, so next, let's talk about horizontal translations. So that's going to be moving right and left. So this is a little bit different. So notice now where my translation is happening. So I always say that when I talk about vertical translations, I always say that the translation happens on the outside of the graph, okay? Versus horizontal translations happen on the kind of inner part of the graph. So if I subtract h from x, that will make the graph move right. And if I add h to x, that will make the graph move left. So let's look at an example of this. Okay, so I have x minus 2 squared. So this is really just x squared. However, I have this number now on the inside of the function. And so that's what tells me it is a horizontal translation. And more specifically, this is a minus 2, therefore the graph is going to move right. So this is really just the graph of x squared. It just moves to right. So boom, boom, there. It is moved to right. Next, I want to talk about reflections, which are not technically translations, they are reflections, but there are 2 types of reflections. So you can either reflect over the x-axis, which means that you put a negative in front of the function, or you could move over the y-axis, which means you put a negative in front of the x. So just a quick example. So if I had like negative x squared, so this would flip the x squared parabola over the x-axis like this. So where it started at 0, 0, it still starts at 0, 0, but now it's just boom, it's coming down instead of up. Versus if I had the square root of negative x, so now this would be on the inside of the function, this negative x. So now my square root of x function, instead of going this way, I want to flip it over the y-axis, so it's going to go this way instead. Okay, so if you understand these basic functions and their reflections and translations, you should be able to look at some of these different functions and know right away what's happening to them. So for instance, let's say that I have the function f of x equals x plus 2 squared minus 3. Okay, so this is x squared. It just has some stuff being done to it. So my question is, if I have this x plus 2, so what does the plus 2 mean? So the plus 2 means that x squared moves 2 left, and then this minus 3 means that the graph moves 3 down. And there's no negative in front of the function, so it's not being reflected. Okay, so all I have to do then is I have to sketch this graph. So where it would have originally started at 0, 0, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it 2 to the left and 3 down. So there's its new starting point. And then I know I just go out 1 and up 1 in each direction and draw a U shape. And now I have a pretty accurate parabola. So that's why you want to know those basic graphs, because then you kind of know those basic points and then you can really quickly draw a graph. Okay, so let's take a look at g of x equals negative absolute value of x minus 2 plus 1. So to go in pieces here, so first of all, I've got this negative and it's really in front of the function. So that means that I am going to have this reflected over the x-axis. And then this is going to move 2 to the right and 1 up. So if you want to think about that, I would actually challenge you to try to draw that on your own just to see how you're understanding this. You'll get more out of the video if you do that. So maybe pause here and then hit play when you're ready. Okay, so here's my graph. So I need to go 2 to the right and up 1. So here's my starting point. So now here's the other thing. Now normally my absolute value goes up, but since it's being reflected downwards, so instead of going up, I'm just going to go down. But I know how my absolute value works. So normally I would have gone with this as my starting point and then out 1 and up 1 in each direction. So now instead of going out 1 and up 1, I'm going to go out 1 and down 1. And that's what's going to ensure that this is properly reflected. So you can almost think of it then. So I know that absolute value would have started here. So you can kind of think of that as here is where the graph got translated to. And then, oops. And then here's this new line that it was like reflected over. So that's why it got moved here and then it reflected, boom, down this way. So here's the graph. Okay, so I have just one more of these. So I have the square root of x plus 3. So just to make sure that we've got this. So is this moving up, down, left, or right? Oops, and I set this up incorrectly. So this is moving to the left, 3. So that is all that this particular one is doing. And so there's my starting point, and then I'm just going to go out 1 and over 1, and then there's my graph. So if you know those translations, you should be able to visualize, like it's still the same graph always, it's just being moved a little. And so for any of these functions that we talked about, let me get back to that list. So for any of these functions that we talked about, these all work like that. So if you translate on the inside or the outside or reflect it any way you want, it's all the same stuff. That's how all translations work. So it's really a handy thing to understand translations so that you know what you're looking at. Okay, so that brings us to the end of that video. If you found that helpful, consider hitting that like button or the subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.